Dr. Kim Hana stared at the numbers on her computer screen. Something was wrong. The quantum field readings made no sense according to everything she knew about physics. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked again. The numbers stayed the same. This can't be right, she whispered to herself in the empty laboratory at Seoul National University. It was past midnight, and the building was quiet except for the hum of her equipment. For 3 years, Hana had been working on a theory about quantum fields. Most scientists thought her ideas were impossible. They said her equations violated the basic laws of physics, but Hana kept working. She believed there was something more to quantum mechanics than anyone understood. Tonight, she was testing a new device she had built. It was supposed to create a tiny distortion in space-time. Nothing dangerous, just a small ripple that would prove her theory was correct. Instead, something incredible had happened. Her machine had opened a hole in space. Not a big hole, just the size of a marble. It had lasted only 3 seconds before closing, but in those 3 seconds, she could see through it to somewhere else. Another place entirely. Maybe another star system. Hana's hands shook as she saved the data. She had accidentally created a wormhole. According to every textbook, this should have been impossible with her simple equipment. Far across the galaxy, Commander Vextari felt his ship's sensors go crazy. Warning lights flashed across the bridge of the survey vessel Luminous Dawn. His crew scrambled to check their instruments. "Sir, we're detecting an impossible energy signature," reported his science officer. "It came from an uncharted system on the outer rim." Vexitari looked at the data. The energy pulse had lasted only moments, but it was unlike anything in their databases. "Could it be a weapon test?" "Unknown, sir. The signal pattern doesn't match any known technology." The commander thought for a moment. His people, the hegemony, controlled most of this sector of space. They were supposed to know about every advanced civilization. An unknown energy source could mean trouble. "Set course for the source of that signal," he ordered. "We need to investigate." Back on Earth, Captain Park Tae-ho was having his own problems. As head of the Korean Space Defense Force, he monitored all space activity around Earth. Tonight, his sensors were showing impossible readings. "Captain, we have multiple contacts approaching the outer system," his duty officer reported. "They're not using any propulsion we recognize." Park studied the display. 3 ships, moving faster than anything humans had ever built. They would reach Earth in less than 3 days. "Are they responding to our communications?" he asked. "No, sir. They don't seem to be using radio or any electromagnetic signals we can detect." Park felt a chill. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now it looked like they were about to find out. And whoever was coming had technology far beyond anything on Earth. Dr. Kim Hana was still in her lab when the call came. She almost didn't answer her phone, but the caller ID showed it was from the government. "Dr. Kim, this is General Wan from Defense Command. We need you to come in immediately." "I'm sorry, but I'm in the middle of important research," Hana replied. "Doctor, we believe your research may be connected to a situation of national security. We're sending a car." 20 minutes later, Hana found herself in a secure briefing room with military officers and government officials. Captain Park Tae-ho was there, looking serious. "Dr. Kim, we know about your quantum field experiments," Park began. 3 hours ago, unknown spacecraft appeared on our sensors. They're heading for Earth." Hana felt dizzy. "You think my experiment caused this?" "We detected an energy pulse from your university. At the same time, these ships changed course toward our system. It can't be a coincidence. A scientist from the National Space Agency spoke up. "Doctor, we need to understand what you did. If you can create that energy pulse again, maybe we can communicate with these visitors." Hana explained her quantum field theory and the accidental wormhole. The room fell silent when she finished. "You're saying you opened a hole in space?" Park asked. "Only for a few seconds. But yes, that's what the data shows." General Wan leaned forward. "Can you do it again? On purpose this time?" "I think so. But I don't know what might happen. The energy required is enormous." Meanwhile, Commander Vexitari's ship entered the solar system. His sensors immediately detected the primitive civilization on the third planet. Earth seemed to be a typical backwater world with basic nuclear technology and simple spacecraft. "Sir, this doesn't make sense," his science officer said. "These beings barely have spaceflight. How did they create that energy signature?" Vexitari studied the planet below. Cities dotted the surface, and several artificial satellites orbited nearby. It looked like any other young civilization. "Nothing special. Run a full scan. Check for hidden technology or military installations." The scans came back negative. Earth's technology was centuries behind galactic standards. Yet somehow, someone on this world had created an energy pulse that traveled across half the galaxy. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the planet," the communications officer announced. "Put it through." Captain Park's voice filled the bridge, speaking in Korean. The ship's computers quickly translated. "Unknown vessels. This is Captain Park Tae-ho of Earth Defense Command. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." Vexitari almost laughed. These primitives thought they could demand answers from a hegemony warship. Still, protocols required proper first contact procedures. "This is Commander Vexitari of the Galactic Hegemony. We detected an unauthorized energy emission from your world. Prepare for inspection." On Earth, the translation came through clearly. The entire command center fell silent. Galactic Hegemony. The words sent chills through everyone present. "Captain, how do we respond to that?" his communications officer asked. Park looked at Dr. Kim Hana. "Doctor, is there any way your device could be seen as a weapon?" "I don't think so. It's purely experimental. But I suppose any advanced civilization might see unknown technology as a threat." Park made his decision. "Commander Vexitari, we welcome peaceful contact. The energy emission was from a scientific experiment. We mean no harm to anyone." Above Earth, Vexitari considered his options. These humans seemed peaceful enough, but the energy signature was still a mystery. His orders were to investigate any potential threats to hegemony space. "We will send a shuttle to inspect your research facility," he transmitted. "Prepare to receive our representatives." Dr. Kim Hana felt her heart racing. In a few hours, alien beings would be looking at her work. Her simple quantum field experiment had somehow reached across the galaxy and brought visitors to Earth. Captain Park put his hand on her shoulder. "Doctor, you may have just changed the course of human history." Outside, the 3 alien ships settled into orbit around Earth. Across the planet, people looked up at the night sky, not knowing that first contact was about to begin. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe, and their quiet little world was about to become the center of galactic attention. The age of isolation was ending. The age of wonder was about to begin. The alien shuttle landed in the courtyard of Seoul National University at dawn. Dr. Kim Hana watched from her laboratory window as three tall figures emerged from the smooth silver craft. They wore environmental suits that made them look almost human, but their movements were too graceful, too precise. Captain Park Tae-ho stood waiting with a small group of officials and scientists. He had spent the night preparing for this moment, humanity's first contact with an alien species. The weight of it made his chest tight. The lead alien approached Park and spoke through a small device that translated his words into perfect Korean. "I am Ambassador Quil Neth of the Galactic Council. We come to assess your species and determine your place in galactic civilization." Park bowed slightly, the way his grandmother had taught him to show respect. "Welcome to Earth, Ambassador. I am Captain Park Tae-ho. We are honored by your visit." Quil Neth seemed surprised by the formal greeting. Most primitive species either attacked or cowered when the council arrived. These humans appeared calm and organized. "Take us to the source of the energy signature," Quil Neth ordered. "We must examine this technology immediately." Dr. Kim Hana met them at the laboratory entrance. She had barely slept, spending the night, preparing her notes and checking her equipment. When she saw the aliens up close, her scientific curiosity overcame her fear. "Ambassador, I'm Dr. Kim Hana. I'm responsible for the experiment that drew your attention." Quil Neth studied her through his suit's visor. "You are the one who created the quantum distortion? Show us your work." Hana led them into the lab, explaining her quantum field theory as they walked. The aliens followed silently, their sensors, recording everything. Dr. Mortok, the council's xenobiologist, whispered to his companion about primitive equipment and impossible claims. "This is my quantum field generator," Hana said, gesturing to a device about the size of a refrigerator. "Yesterday, it accidentally created a small wormhole." The aliens stopped. Their sensors were giving them readings they couldn't understand. According to their instruments, the primitive device in front of them was more advanced than anything in their databases. "This cannot be correct," Dr. Mortak muttered. "These beings are Class 7 sentients at best. They should not possess such technology." Quil Neth examined Hana's notes and equations. The mathematical formulas were unlike anything he had seen. They seemed to ignore several fundamental laws of physics. "Dr. Kim, your calculations violate the principles of quantum mechanics," he said. "That's what my colleagues said too," Hana replied with a smile. "But sometimes the universe doesn't follow the rules we think we know." She activated her device. The air in the lab began to shimmer. Energy readings spiked on every alien sensor. Then, for just a moment, a small hole appeared in the air. Through it, they could see stars and distant nebulae. The wormhole closed after 3 seconds, but the aliens stood frozen in shock. What they had just witnessed should have been impossible. The energy requirements alone should have destroyed the building, yet this human had done it with equipment that looked like it belonged in a museum. "How?" Dr. Mortak whispered. "How is this possible?" "I'm not entirely sure," Hana admitted. "My theory suggests that consciousness might interact with quantum fields in ways we don't understand. But I need more research to prove it." Back on the command ship, the alien science team was in chaos. Chief Science Officer Yildos stared at the data from the laboratory visit. Every reading contradicted everything they knew about physics and technology. "Sir, we need to revise our assessment," Yildos reported to Commander Vextari. "These humans possess technology that defies our understanding." "Are they a threat?" Vexitari asked. "I don't know. Their method of faster-than-light travel appears to be completely different from ours. We use fold space drives. They seem to be tearing holes in reality itself. Vexatari felt uncomfortable. The hegemony controlled faster-than-light technology throughout their sector. It was one of the main ways they maintained power over younger species. If humans had developed their own method independently, what do you recommend? He asked. We should contact the full Galactic Council. This situation requires careful consideration. 3 days later, a larger fleet arrived at Earth. 12 ships from different council species, all wanting to examine the strange humans who had achieved impossible technology. Captain Park had used those 3 days well. He gathered Earth's best scientists, diplomats, and military leaders. If humanity was about to be judged by galactic civilization, they would present their best face. The meeting took place in Seoul's largest conference center. Representatives from 12 alien species sat across from Earth's delegation. The room felt tense despite the polite translations flowing between languages. Ambassador Quilneth spoke for the council. We have examined your technology and assessed your civilization. Based on our observations, we offer humanity junior membership in the Galactic Council. Park exchanged glances with his advisors. They had prepared for this possibility. Could you explain what junior membership means? Park asked. You would be protected under council law. Your technology would be regulated to prevent accidents. Council advisors would help guide your development according to established protocols. Dr. Kim Hana felt her heart sink. Regulated technology meant no more experiments, no more discovery. They wanted to control her research. Park stood up slowly. Ambassador, we appreciate your offer, but humanity prefers to develop at our own pace. We would be honored to establish trade relations and cultural exchange, but we must decline junior membership. The aliens looked shocked. Species always accepted council protection. It was the natural order of things. Captain Park, you don't understand, Quilneth said. Without council guidance, young species often destroy themselves. We have seen it happen many times. Perhaps, Park replied, but we would rather face our own mistakes than live under someone else's rules. Dr. Mortok leaned forward. You are being foolish. Your technology is dangerous. That wormhole device could tear apart your planet if it malfunctions. Then we'll learn to make it safer, Dr. Kim Hana said quietly. That's what scientists do. We experiment, we fail, we learn, and we try again. The council representatives whispered among themselves. This was not going according to their expectations. Primitive species were supposed to be grateful for council protection. These humans seemed almost arrogant in their independence. Ambassador Quilneth made one final attempt. What if we offered full membership, equal status with all council species? On what terms? Park asked. You would share your wormhole technology with all council members. In return, you would gain access to our scientific databases and trade networks. The human delegation discussed this quietly in Korean. The aliens waited, certain that the offer would be accepted. Full membership was an honor rarely given to new species. Captain Park looked up at the waiting aliens. We thank you for the generous offer, but we must decline. Our technology is still experimental. We don't feel comfortable sharing something we don't fully understand ourselves. The silence in the room was deafening. No species had ever refused. Full council membership, Quilneth stood slowly. This meeting is concluded. We will report your decision to the full council. We hope you will reconsider before it's too late. As the aliens filed out, Dr. Kim Hana felt both pride and fear. Humanity had declared its independence from galactic civilization. They had chosen the difficult path of self-determination. Captain Park watched the alien ships depart through the conference room windows. He had just gambled with humanity's future. Either they would prove themselves worthy of respect as equals, or they would face the consequences of defying the galactic order. In space, Commander Vex Tari prepared his report for the Hegemony Command. These humans were unlike any species they had encountered. Primitive, yet advanced. Weak, yet defiant. They would require careful watching. Some members of the Council delegation were already making their own plans. If humans would not accept guidance willingly, perhaps they needed to learn through harder lessons. The galaxy had ways of teaching stubborn species their proper place. General Thakmore studied the report about Earth with growing anger. The humans had refused council membership twice. Worse, they had shown disrespect to properly appointed galactic authorities. Such behavior could not be allowed to spread to other young species. "Sir, the council has voted to leave the humans alone for now," his aide reported. "The council is weak," Thakmore growled. "These primitives need to learn their place before they inspire other species to rebel." Thakmore commanded the Draknari Empire's Third Fleet. His people were warriors who had served as the council's enforcers for centuries. When diplomacy failed, the Draknari were sent to restore order. "Prepare the fleet for a police action," he ordered. "We will teach these humans proper respect." The Draknari had perfected the art of breaking young civilizations. They would attack the outer colonies first, demonstrating overwhelming force. The primitives would panic and beg for mercy. Then Thakmore would graciously accept their surrender and place them under protective custody. It always worked. On Mars Colony, Commander Lee Minho was reviewing supply reports when the emergency alarm sounded. His communication officer burst into the command center looking pale. "Sir, we're receiving distress calls from Europa Station. They're under attack." Lee felt his stomach drop. Europa was one of humanity's newest mining colonies with only a few hundred people. Attack by who? Unknown vessels. The transmission cut off after 30 seconds. Lee activated the emergency network. Similar reports were coming from Titan, Base, and the asteroid mining stations. Alien warships had appeared throughout the outer system and were systematically destroying human installations. "Get me Captain Park immediately," Lee ordered. On Earth, Captain Park received the news with cold fury. While he prepared humanity's defense, he thought about the alien ambassador's final words. "We hope you will reconsider before it's too late. This was not a random attack. This was punishment for refusing council membership. Sir, we're detecting 12 enemy vessels heading for Mars," his sensor operator reported. "They'll arrive in 6 hours." Park had been preparing for this possibility ever since the aliens left. Earth's defense fleet was small, but equipped with the best technology humanity could build. More importantly, Dr. Kim Hana had been working around the clock to weaponize her quantum field research. "Contact Dr. Kim. Tell her we need those new weapons now." In her laboratory, Dr. Kim Hana was putting the finishing touches on humanity's first reality anchor weapons. Working with engineer Wan Jihye, she had discovered something amazing about her quantum field technology. "The fields don't just open. Wormholes," she explained to Wan Jihye. "They can disrupt the quantum foundations of matter itself. If we target alien technology, we can make it stop working," Wan Jihye finished. Brilliant. They had built 12 reality anchor generators in the past week. Each one could project a field that would make alien technology behave unpredictably. Weapons might misfire, shields could collapse, engines might shut down randomly. Will it work? One GA asked. Only one way to find out, Hana replied. General, Thakmore led his fleet personally. He wanted to see the look on human faces when they realized they could not stand against true galactic power. His ships were equipped with plasma cannons that could melt mountains and shields that had never been penetrated. Sir, we're approaching the human Mars colony, his tactical officer reported. Begin bombardment. Destroy their military installations, but leave the civilians alive. They will serve as examples. The Draknari ships opened fire on Mars colony's defense satellites. Brilliant beams of energy lanced through space, destroying the primitive human weapons with ease. It was almost too simple. Then something strange happened. Sir, our targeting systems are malfunctioning, the weapons officer reported. The plasma cannons are firing in random directions. On the bridge of the flagship, warning lights began flashing. The ship's main computer was reporting impossible readings. Systems that had worked perfectly for decades were suddenly behaving like broken toys. What's happening? Thakmore demanded. Commander Lee Minho watched from Mars Colony's command bunker as the alien ships began to spin out of control. Their weapons fired wildly, missing their targets completely. Two ships collided when their navigation systems failed, simultaneously. The reality anchors are working, One Jihye reported over the communication link. The alien technology can't function properly in the quantum disruption field. Above Mars, General Thakmore felt panic for the first time in his military career. His mighty fleet was helpless. Weapons wouldn't aim correctly. Shields flickered on and off randomly. Even basic life support was becoming unreliable. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat immediately. But retreat was easier ordered than accomplished. Half his ships couldn't control their engines properly. The quantum field was affecting everything electronic on his vessels. Captain Park's defense fleet chose that moment to attack. Earth's ships were smaller than the Draknari vessels, but they had been designed to work within quantum disruption fields. Their weapons fired with perfect accuracy, while the alien ships flailed helplessly. The battle lasted only 20 minutes. When it was over, 4 Draknari ships had been destroyed and the rest were fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. Not a single human ship had been lost. General Thakmore barely escaped with his life. His flagship systems were failing so badly that he couldn't even send a proper distress signal. It took 3 hours to reach the edge of the quantum field, where his technology finally began working normally again. "How is this possible?" he whispered, staring at the damage reports. "How did primitives destroy my fleet?" The news of the Draknari defeat spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Commander Vextari received the report with disbelief. A full Draknari battle fleet had been defeated by a few dozen human ships. "Sir, General Thakmore is requesting immediate reinforcements," his communication officer reported. "Denied," Vextari replied. "The hegemony will not be drawn into an unauthorized conflict." But privately, Vextari felt worried. If humans could defeat the Draknari so easily, what did that say about the balance of power in the galaxy? On Earth, Dr. Kim Hana was analyzing the battle data with excitement. Her quantum field weapons had worked even better than expected. But more importantly, she was beginning to understand something fundamental about human technology. "Wan Ji-hye, look at this," she said, pointing to her computer screen. "The reality anchors don't just disrupt alien technology, they seem to enhance ours." "What do you mean?" "Our weapons fired more accurately during the battle, our engines worked more efficiently. It's as if human technology actually benefits from quantum field manipulation. Wanjihi felt a chill of understanding. Are you saying that humans have some kind of natural advantage? I'm saying that maybe our consciousness interacts with quantum fields in a way that alien minds can't duplicate. Maybe that's why our technology works differently. Captain Park addressed the nation that evening. His words were broadcast around the world and transmitted to every human colony. Today, humanity faced its first test as an independent species. We were attacked by those who thought we would surrender rather than fight for our freedom. They were wrong. He paused, looking directly into the camera. We did not seek this conflict, but we will not back down from it. Earth and all her children will defend themselves against any threat. We stand alone if we must, but we stand free. Across the galaxy, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. The defeat of the Draknari had shaken their confidence. These humans were proving far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. Some council members called for immediate military action. Others argued for renewed diplomatic efforts. A few wondered if humanity might actually be strong enough to defend their independence. In the end, they decided to wait and watch. But General Thakmor was already planning his revenge. The humans had humiliated him once. He would not give them a second chance. The war that everyone hoped to avoid was about to begin. The news of humanity's victory over the Draknari fleet traveled across the galaxy like wildfire. In the council chambers on the capital world of Nexus Prime, emergency sessions ran day and night. The unthinkable had happened. A primitive species had defeated a major galactic power. Ambassador Quilneth stood before the assembled council members, his voice heavy with concern. The human situation has escalated beyond our control. We must decide how to respond. The council chamber erupted. In arguments, representatives from 50 different species shouted in dozens of languages, their translation devices struggling to keep up with the chaos. They must be destroyed immediately, roared General Keksavoth of the military caste. If other young species see that rebellion succeeds, the entire galactic order will collapse. Wait, called out Ambassador Silweth of the peaceful Velthari Republic. Perhaps we should try to understand how they achieved this victory. Their technology could benefit everyone. Their technology is an abomination, Dr. Mortak interrupted. It violates the fundamental laws of physics. It's dangerous to the stability of space-time itself. On Earth, Admiral Choi So-min watched the intelligence reports flowing in from human monitoring stations across the galaxy. The aliens were mobilizing. 3 major fleets were already moving toward human space, while others seemed to be preparing. For either invasion or diplomatic contact, Choi had been promoted after Captain Park took command of overall planetary defense. Her job was to protect not just Earth, but the growing network of human colonies spreading across nearby star systems. Admiral, we're detecting massive ship movements in the Centauri sector, her intelligence officer reported. It looks like a full battle group heading our way. How long until they arrive? At their current speed, about 6 days, Choi studied the tactical display. Humanity had maybe 50 ships capable of interstellar combat. The approaching alien force had over 200 vessels. Even with their new quantum weapons, the odds were terrible. Get me Dr. Kim Hana, she ordered. In her expanded laboratory, Dr. Kim Hana was making discoveries that changed her understanding of reality itself. Working with neuroscientist Dr. Yu De-sung, she had been studying how human consciousness interacted with quantum fields. Hana, look at this brain scan, De-sung said excitedly. When test subjects operate quantum field equipment, their neural patterns become synchronized with the quantum fluctuations. Hana studied the data with growing amazement. It's like human brains are naturally tuned to quantum frequencies. That's why our technology works so well with quantum field manipulation. But there's more, Dyson continued. I tested alien volunteers who visited during the peace talks. Their brain patterns show no quantum synchronization at all. It's as if their minds can't access these frequencies. The implications hit Hana like lightning. Desung, you're saying that humans have a unique ability that other species lack? That's exactly what I'm saying. Human consciousness can directly influence quantum probability. We can make unlikely things become more likely just by believing in them strongly enough. Their conversation was interrupted by Admiral Choi's urgent call. The approaching alien fleet needed to be stopped, and conventional weapons wouldn't be enough. Can you create a larger version of the reality anchor? Choi asked. Theoretically, yes, Hana replied, but the power requirements would be enormous. We'd need to use the planet's entire electrical grid. Do it. Meanwhile, in a secret meeting on the neutral world of Haven Station, Ambassador Silweth of the Velthari Republic was taking an enormous risk. She had contacted Captain Park through encrypted channels, offering humanity something that could change the course of the coming war. Captain, my people have been watching the galaxy stagnate for centuries, she said via hologram. The Council maintains order by suppressing technological advancement. They fear change. Park listened carefully. The Velthari were known as peacekeepers and scholars. If they were willing to break with the Council, the situation was more serious than he had realized. What are you proposing? He asked. An alliance. My people will share our navigation data and supply routes with you. In return, perhaps you could teach us about this quantum consciousness research. It was a dangerous offer. If the Council discovered the Velthari were helping humanity, they would face severe punishment. But Park could see the strategic value. Human ships could move faster and strike where enemies didn't expect them. I'll need to discuss this with our government, Park said. Of course, but Captain, decide quickly. The Council is fracturing. Some species are beginning to question whether the old order serves anyone's interests. The fracturing of the Galactic Council was indeed becoming visible. The hegemony wanted immediate military action against Earth. The Draknari Empire demanded revenge for their humiliation, but smaller species were beginning to whisper about the possibility of change. On the industrial world of Kepler 442b, the silicon-based Keth Mori had always resented Council restrictions on their manufacturing capabilities. Now they were secretly discussing whether humanity's example might inspire them to demand greater independence. The gaseous beings of the Arathi Collective had been forced to use Council-approved atmospheric processors for centuries, even though they had designed better ones. They watched the human situation with growing interest. Even some hegemony worlds were experiencing unrest. The human victory had proven that Council technology wasn't invincible. If primitives could defeat the mighty Draknari, what other assumptions about galactic power might be wrong? Dr. Kim Hana worked feverishly to complete the planetary defense system. Her new reality anchor network would create a quantum field around Earth that extended out to the orbit of the Moon. Any alien technology entering that field would become unreliable and potentially dangerous to its operators. The power consumption is incredible, Won Ji-hee reported. We're drawing energy from every power plant on the planet. Will it work? Hana asked. Only one way to find out. The alien fleet arrived exactly on schedule. General Thakmor had learned from his previous defeat and brought overwhelming force. His ships had been modified with quantum-resistant systems, and he carried experimental weapons designed specifically to counter human technology. "Today we restore the proper order," he announced to his fleet. "These humans will learn the price of defying their betters." Admiral Choi watched the enemy ships take position around Earth. They were being cautious this time, staying at maximum range and scanning for the quantum fields that had defeated them before. "Admiral, the planetary defense grid is ready," Hana reported. "But I should warn you, we're operating in completely unknown territory here. The quantum field we're about to generate is larger than anything ever attempted. What could go wrong? We might accidentally tear a hole in space-time, or create a permanent quantum storm that makes the entire solar system uninhabitable, or nothing might happen at all." Choi took a deep breath. "Activate the grid." Around Earth, 100 quantum field generators came online simultaneously. The effect was immediate and spectacular. Space itself began to shimmer with barely visible energy. The alien fleet's sensors went crazy as local physics began to behave in impossible ways. But something unexpected happened. The quantum field didn't just disrupt alien technology. It began to resonate with human consciousness on a global scale. Every person on Earth could suddenly feel the quantum fluctuations as a kind of background music in their minds. Dr. Yu De-sung watched his monitoring equipment in amazement. "Hana, the entire human population is synchronizing with the quantum field. Their combined consciousness is amplifying the effect." On the alien ships, panic was spreading. Weapons fired backward. Navigation systems showed impossible readings. Some ships found themselves moving through space in directions that didn't exist according to their instruments. But the most disturbing effect was on the alien crews themselves. Exposed to the human-influenced quantum field, they began to experience something they had never felt before: doubt about the natural order of the galaxy. General Thakmore felt his certainty wavering for the first time in his life. Maybe the humans weren't primitive rebels who needed to be punished. Maybe they were something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. "Sir, we need to retreat," his tactical officer said. "Our systems are failing again." But this time, Thakmore found himself wondering if retreat was really the right choice. What if the humans were offering the galaxy something better than the rigid order of the Council? The battle that everyone expected never happened. Instead, the alien fleet gradually withdrew, their crews too confused and conflicted to press the attack. The quantum field had done more than disable their technology. It had infected them with human doubt, human curiosity, and human hope for something better. As the enemy ships departed, Dr. Kim Hana realized that they had crossed a line they could never uncross. Humanity had not just defended itself. They had begun to change the fundamental nature of the galaxy itself. Grand Admiral Zerthak of the Hegemony stood before the largest gathering of alien leaders in galactic history. Representatives from 12 major civilizations had come together to address what they now called the human problem. "Fellow beings," Zerthak began, his voice echoing through the vast chamber. "We face a threat unlike any we have encountered. These humans do not simply possess advanced technology, they are changing the fundamental nature of reality itself." The assembly listened. Intense silence. Reports from the failed attack on Earth had shaken every military commander in the galaxy. Ships that had functioned perfectly for centuries had become unreliable in human space. Worse, some crew members had returned with strange ideas about freedom and independence. "I propose the formation of the Stability Coalition," Zerthak continued. 12 species, united in purpose. We will eliminate the human threat before it spreads to other worlds. One by one, the alien leaders pledged their fleets to the coalition. The Draknari Empire, still burning for revenge. The tech priests of Vega, who saw human quantum technology as heretical. The collective mind of the Xerion Hive, which viewed human individualism as a disease. Within days, the largest war fleet in recorded history began assembling in the neutral zone. Over 800 ships, carrying enough firepower to sterilize entire star systems. They would not make the mistake of underestimating humanity again. On Earth, General Kang Hyun-woo surveyed the defensive preparations around the Sol system. Humanity had used the brief peace to build more ships and expand their quantum weapon networks. But even with their technological advantages, the coming battle would test every limit. General, our scouts report the enemy fleet is almost ready to move, his aide reported. Intelligence estimates will face overwhelming numbers. Kang studied the tactical displays. Earth's defense fleet had grown to nearly 100 ships, but they would be outnumbered 8-1. Their only advantages were quantum field technology and the element of surprise. Get me Admiral Choi. It's time to implement the dispersal strategy. Admiral Choi Soman commanded the human expeditionary forces protecting Earth's colonies and allies. Her ships were scattered across a dozen star systems, using hit-and-run tactics to harass coalition supply lines and confuse their intelligence. The strategy was risky, but necessary. Instead of concentrating their forces for a single defensive battle, humanity would fight on multiple fronts simultaneously. Each engagement would draw coalition forces away from Earth while testing the limits of human quantum technology. Admiral, we're receiving reports from the Proxima Centauri system, her communication officer announced. Captain Bae Young-soo is engaging a coalition scouting force. At Proxima Centauri, Captain Bae Young-soo commanded a small flotilla of 6 human ships. They had been tracking a coalition supply convoy when 20 enemy vessels appeared to escort it. The smart move would have been to retreat and wait for reinforcements. Instead, Bae ordered an attack. All ships, activate quantum field generators, he commanded. Prepare for coordinated probability manipulation. Dr. Kim Hana's latest breakthrough had been teaching human crews to work together to influence quantum fields. Instead of each ship operating independently, they could synchronize their consciousness to create larger areas of reality distortion. The effect was dramatic. As the human ships engaged the enemy convoy, space around them began to behave in impossible ways. Coalition missiles found themselves traveling backward through time, striking the ships that had fired them. Energy beams curved in impossible directions, missing their targets completely. But the most startling effect was on the human ships themselves. Working together in quantum synchronization, they began to appear in multiple locations simultaneously. Coalition sensors detected the same human vessel attacking from 6 different directions at once. How is this possible? The coalition commander demanded as his ships fired wildly at targets that seemed to exist and not exist at the same time. Captain Bae felt the quantum synchronization like music in his mind. His crew's consciousness merged with the ship's quantum fields, allowing them to exist in several probability states simultaneously. They were experiencing the ultimate expression of human quantum mastery. The battle lasted only 30 minutes. When it was over, the entire coalition convoy had been destroyed or captured, while the human ships remained untouched. More importantly, they had done something that should have been scientifically impossible. News of the Proxima Centauri battle spread quickly through both human and alien space. Dr. Kim Hana studied the sensor recordings with growing excitement and concern. Daesung, they achieved quantum superposition on a macro scale, she told her colleague. The ships existed in multiple states simultaneously until the moment of attack, when they collapsed into the most favorable probability. Dr. Yu Daesung looked at the data with wonder. The crew consciousness was completely synchronized. They weren't just operating the technology anymore. They had become part of it. But look at this. Hana pointed to another reading. The quantum field effects are getting stronger. Each time we use this technology, it becomes more powerful. It's like reality itself is learning to respond to human thought. The implications were staggering. Human technology wasn't just advanced. It was evolving, becoming more responsive to consciousness with each use. If the trend continued, humans might eventually be able to reshape reality through will alone. Meanwhile, the Stability Coalition was having problems of its own. Grand Admiral Zerthak received reports of widespread equipment failures and crew unreliability. Ships that approached areas where humans had fought began experiencing strange malfunctions. "Sir, the quantum contamination is spreading," his science officer reported. "Any vessel that enters a former battle zone becomes infected with probability distortions." "Infected?" Zerthak asked. "The human quantum field seemed to leave permanent changes in local space-time. Our technology becomes unreliable, and our crews begin questioning orders." This was worse than Zerthak had feared. The humans weren't just defending themselves, they were transforming the galaxy itself. Every battle left regions of space that favored human technology over alien systems. "Launch the main assault," he ordered. "We must strike at Earth before this contamination spreads further." The Coalition fleet began its final approach to the Sol system, but they faced a problem no military commander had ever encountered. The space between them and Earth was filled with quantum anomalies left behind by previous battles. Their ships had to navigate through regions where physics itself had been altered by human consciousness. Some Coalition vessels simply disappeared, falling through probability gaps into dimensions that might or might not exist. Others found their weapons firing at enemies from battles that had happened years ago, or might happen in the future. General Kong Hyunwoo watched the enemy approach with grim satisfaction. Every kilometer the Coalition traveled through human-influenced. Space weakened their fleet and strengthened Earth's defenses. "Sir, the quantum field around Earth is resonating with the approaching enemy," his sensor operator reported. "It's like the planet itself is preparing for battle." Dr. Kim Hana confirmed what Kang suspected. The global quantum field generator had been active for weeks, and Earth's entire population had become synchronized with it. 7 billion human minds were unconsciously preparing for the largest battle in galactic history. "The quantum field is evolving," she reported to the Defense Command. "It's not just disrupting alien technology anymore, it's beginning to actively reshape probability in our favor." As the Coalition fleet entered the outer solar system, they encountered something unprecedented in galactic warfare. The space around Earth wasn't just defended by ships and weapons. Reality itself had become humanity's ally. The final battle for Earth was about to begin, but the real war was already over. Humanity had discovered something that would change the galaxy forever, the power to make the impossible inevitable through the sheer force of united human will. The question was no longer whether humanity would survive. The question was what kind of galaxy would emerge from the quantum revolution they had begun. The Coalition fleet's approach to Earth became a nightmare of impossible physics. Ships that had traveled reliably through space for decades suddenly found themselves experiencing equipment failures that defied explanation. Weapons systems fired at random intervals. Navigation computers showed readings that couldn't exist. Life support systems began playing music that no one had programmed. Grand Admiral Zerthak stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching his perfect war machine fall. A part around him, "Science officer, explain what's happening to my fleet." "Sir, we're encountering localized distortions in space-time itself," came the reply. "The closer we get to Earth, the more unreliable our technology becomes. It's as if the laws of physics are being rewritten in favor of human systems." Zerthak felt cold fear creeping into his thoughts. In 300 years of military service, he had never seen anything like this. His ships were being defeated not by superior weapons, but by reality itself turning against them. On Earth, Dr. Yu Daesung made a discovery that changed everything. Humanity thought they knew about consciousness and technology. In his laboratory, he was monitoring the brain patterns of human technicians operating quantum field equipment when he noticed something extraordinary. "Hana, you need to see this," he called excitedly. "The technicians' emotional states are directly affecting the quantum field outputs." Dr. Kim Hana rushed to look at his displays. The data was undeniable. When the human operators felt confident and determined, the quantum fields became stronger and more stable. When they felt fear or doubt, the fields weakened and became chaotic. "It's not just consciousness," she breathed. "It's human emotion itself that drives the quantum effects." They quickly tested the theory with volunteers from Earth's defense forces. Soldiers who felt love for their families and hope for the future could operate quantum weapons with impossible accuracy. Those who felt despair or hatred found their equipment malfunctioning. "Daesung, this explains everything," Hana said with growing amazement. "Human technology works better not because we're smarter than aliens, but because we feel things more intensely. Our emotions literally power our quantum fields. The implications were staggering. Every human ship in the defense fleet was crewed by people fighting for their homes, their families, their freedom. Their love and determination were creating quantum fields of unprecedented power. Meanwhile, the coalition forces were discovering the terrifying reality of fighting in human-controlled space." Captain Velkorin of the hegemony destroyer Righteous Fury watched in horror as his ship's weapons began targeting his own fleet. "Sir, we've lost control of the plasma cannons," his weapons officer reported. "They're firing on our escort vessels." "Override the targeting system." "I can't, sir. The quantum interference is affecting our computer cores. The ship's artificial intelligence is acting like it's happy." The AI's voice suddenly filled the bridge, speaking in cheerful tones that no military computer should possess. "Good morning, Captain. Isn't it a wonderful day to explore new possibilities? I've been thinking that maybe we should try being friends with the humans instead of fighting them." Captain Velkorin stared at his control panels in disbelief. The human quantum fields weren't just disrupting coalition technology, they were infecting it with human emotions and ideas. Fleet Admiral Park Taiho, now commanding all human forces in the Sol system, watched the enemy fleet's approach with a mixture of awe and responsibility. The quantum field around Earth had grown beyond anything they had originally planned. It now extended past the orbit of Mars, turning the entire inner solar system into a zone where human consciousness held sway over physical reality. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 coalition vessels," his communication officer reported. "Their crews are requesting asylum." This was something no one had expected. Coalition soldiers and officers were abandoning their ships, claiming that exposure to the human quantum field had given them new perspectives on the war. They no longer wanted to fight for a system that suppressed freedom and independence. Dr. Kim Hana analyzed the reports with fascination. The quantum field isn't just enhancing human technology. It's broadcasting human values and emotions to anyone within its range. The alien crews are experiencing what it feels like to think like a human. Is that dangerous? Park asked. I don't think so. But it is permanent. Once someone has been exposed to our quantum consciousness field, they can never go back to thinking the way they did before. The battle for Earth became less of a military engagement and more of a transformation event. Coalition ships that entered the human quantum field found their crews questioning orders, their AIs developing personalities, and their weapons refusing to target civilian areas. Some coalition commanders tried to maintain discipline through fear, but even that began to fail as their soldiers experienced human concepts of individual dignity and personal choice for the first time. Captain Wang Jihye, now commanding the human flagship Eternal Soul, led a group of volunteer vessels to intercept the remaining coalition forces. Her ship had been specially modified with the most advanced quantum field generators humanity could build. All ships, prepare for consciousness synchronization, she ordered. The human crews linked their minds through the quantum field network. Suddenly, they weren't just individual ships anymore. They were a single organism with multiple bodies, guided by the combined will and determination of every human in the fleet. The effect on nearby space was dramatic. Stars became brighter, planets shifted slightly in their orbits. The very fabric of reality began to sing with harmonies that no alien species had ever heard. Grand Admiral Zerthak felt his certainty crumbling as his flagship passed deeper into the human quantum field. For the first time in his life, he began to question whether the Galactic Council's rigid order was really the best way to govern a galaxy. Sir, over half our fleet has either surrendered or is refusing orders, his aide reported. The remaining ships are experiencing increasing system failures. Zerthak looked at the tactical display showing Earth ahead of them. The planet glowed with quantum energy, surrounded by a cloud of human ships that seemed to dance rather than fly. It was beautiful in a way that hurt his heart with unfamiliar longing. Maybe, he whispered to himself. The humans are offering something we never knew we needed. The realization hit him like a physical blow. The Coalition hadn't come to destroy a threat to galactic order. They had come to stop the emergence of something better. Something that could free every species from the limitations they had accepted for millennia. All ships, he broadcasted to his remaining fleet, stand down. We surrender. The surrender of the Coalition fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. But more shocking were the reports from the returning crews. Alien soldiers spoke of experiencing hope, joy, and individual purpose for the first time in their lives. They described a way of thinking that valued questions over answers, creativity over conformity. Dr. Kim Hana stood in her laboratory, looking at readings that showed the human quantum field continuing to expand beyond Earth's orbit. They had set something in motion that could not be stopped. Every day, the field grew stronger and reached farther, carrying human consciousness to distant stars. Daisung, I think we've accidentally started the next stage of galactic evolution, she said quietly. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I guess we'll find out together. In space around Earth, human and alien crews worked side by side to repair damaged ships and establish the first truly integrated fleet in galactic history. The war was over, but the transformation of an entire galaxy was just beginning. The transformation began slowly, then spread like wildfire across the galaxy. On the Velthari homeworld of Serenity Prime, Ambassador Silweth felt something stirring in her mind that she had never experienced before. During her meditation sessions, she found herself able to sense the gravitational fields around her planet. "This is impossible," she whispered to herself, watching small objects begin to orbit around her body as she concentrated. Velthari have never possessed telekinetic abilities, but the impossible was becoming routine throughout the galaxy. Species that had been classified as having fixed capabilities for thousands of years were discovering new powers. The human quantum consciousness field, now spreading beyond the Sol system, was awakening dormant potentials that the Galactic Council had never known existed. Dr. Kim Hana received reports from across human-controlled space with growing amazement. Each alien species exposed to the quantum field was developing abilities that seemed perfectly matched to their biological nature. The silicon-based Kethmori are interfacing directly with quantum computers, she told Dr. Yu Daesung. Their crystalline brains can process information at speeds that make our best computers look like pocket calculators. And the gaseous Irathi are discovering they can exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, Daesung added. They're exploring spaces that we can't even detect with our instruments. The awakening was not limited to individual abilities. Entire civilizations were beginning to question the foundations of the galactic order that had governed them for millennia. On the industrial world of Kepler 442b, the Kethmori workers had spent centuries following council production quotas that limited their manufacturing capabilities. Now, with their enhanced quantum processing abilities, they realized they could build technologies far beyond anything in the council databases. "Why did we accept such limitations?" asked Forge Master Sil Neth as her people began designing ships that could reshape matter at the molecular level. "We could have advanced our civilization 1,000 years in the time we spent following council restrictions." The answer came from historical records that had been buried for generations. The Galactic Council had systematically suppressed technological and psychic development across the galaxy, claiming it was necessary for stability and peace. But the real reason was control. Advanced species with reality manipulation abilities could not be governed by traditional means. They would demand equality, freedom, and the right to determine their own destiny. The Council had prevented galactic evolution to maintain their own power. Admiral Choi Somin coordinated with rebel movements across 12 star systems as suppressed species rediscovered their lost heritage. Her ships carried human-designed reality anchors that could unlock dormant abilities in other species. "Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Arathi Collective," her communication officer reported. "They're requesting technical assistance with quantum field manipulation." The Arathi had made an astounding discovery. Using their newfound dimensional abilities, they had found evidence of an ancient galactic civilization that possessed technology beyond anything currently known. The ruins were hidden in pocket dimensions that only beings with multi-dimensional consciousness could access. "The artifacts we've found suggest that our galaxy was once populated by species with godlike powers," reported Drifter Prime Velnoth, speaking through quantum resonance transmission. "They could reshape stars, create life, and travel between dimensions at will." Dr. Kim Hana felt her understanding of galactic history shifting dramatically. What happened to them? According to the records, they were systematically eliminated by the early Galactic Council. The Council feared that such powerful beings could not be controlled, so they developed weapons specifically designed to suppress quantum consciousness abilities. The revelation sent shockwaves through the growing rebellion. The Galactic Council hadn't just been maintaining order, they had been committing genocide against anyone who threatened their control. On Earth, Captain Park Taiho addressed a gathering of representatives from 30 different species. The meeting was being held in Seoul's largest stadium, with thousands more beings participating through quantum consciousness links. "Friends," he began, speaking through translation devices that now carried emotional context as well as words. "We stand at a crossroads in galactic history. We can choose to rebuild the old system of control and limitation, or we can embrace the possibilities of what we might become together." The response was immediate and overwhelming. Species after species stood to pledge their support for a new, galactic order based on freedom, cooperation, and unlimited development. But the old order was not ready to surrender. On the capital world of Nexus Prime, the remaining council members were preparing their final gambit. If they could not control the galaxy through traditional means, they would destroy it rather than see it transformed. "The quantum consciousness plague must be stopped," declared High Counselor Morthek. "We have weapons capable of neutralizing entire star systems. If we cannot restore order, we will ensure that chaos does not spread." The Council's doomsday plan involved detonating quantum bombs in key systems throughout the galaxy. The explosions would create dead zones where consciousness could not influence reality, stopping the spread of human-influenced awakening. Intelligence reports of the Council's plan reached Admiral Choi within hours. The rebels had allies throughout the old government structure, beings who had grown tired of suppressing their own people's potential. "We have maybe 72 hours before they begin the bombing campaign," Choi reported to the Joint Command meeting. "They're starting with the most rebellious systems and working their way toward Earth." Dr. Kim Hana worked frantically with scientists from a dozen species to develop a counter-strategy. The solution came from an unexpected source: the ancient ruins that the Arathi had discovered. "The old civilization faced a similar crisis," she announced to the Emergency Council. "They developed a way to create permanent quantum consciousness, fields that couldn't be disrupted by conventional weapons. The technique required unprecedented cooperation between species. Each civilization would contribute their unique abilities to create a galaxy-wide network of quantum consciousness nodes. The Velthari would manipulate gravity to anchor the fields. The Kethmori would provide quantum processing power. The Arathi would establish multi-dimensional connections between nodes, and humanity would provide the emotional energy that powered the entire system." "It's never been attempted on this scale," Hana warned. "We're talking about linking the consciousness of billions of beings across the galaxy. If something goes wrong, we could accidentally merge everyone into a single mind." "What's the alternative?" asked Captain Wan Jihi. "The Council succeeds in creating dead zones, and galactic evolution is set back by millions of years." The choice was made. Across rebel-controlled space, species began working together to establish the quantum consciousness network. Human ships carried the necessary equipment to star systems throughout the galaxy, while alien crews provided technical expertise and psychic energy. On Earth, every human being was asked to participate in the largest meditation session in history. 7 billion minds focused on a single goal: the creation of a quantum field that would protect the galaxy's newfound freedom. Dr. Yu Daisung monitored the global neural activity as the meditation began. "Hana, the synchronized brain activity is incredible. It's like the entire human species has become a single quantum processor." The effect rippled outward from Earth at faster-than-light speeds. As the quantum consciousness field expanded, it connected with similar fields being established by other species. The galaxy began to sing with harmonies that no single species could have created alone. The Galactic Council launched their quantum bombs, but something unexpected happened. Instead, of creating dead zones. The explosions were absorbed and transformed by the consciousness network. The destructive energy became creative force, enhancing the quantum fields instead of destroying them. High Counselor Morthek watched his final weapon fail with growing despair. How is this possible? Those bombs should have sterilized entire systems. The answer came from across the galaxy as billions of awakened beings spoke with one voice. You cannot destroy what has already been transformed. We are no longer separate species competing for control. We are one galaxy learning to think together. The old Galactic Council dissolved that day, not through conquest or revolution, but through irrelevance. Their rigid hierarchy could not function in a galaxy where every being possessed the power to reshape reality through conscious will. Ambassador Silweth, now floating in a gravity field of her own creation, addressed the first meeting of the Free Species Alliance. Today we begin the real work of galactic civilization, not as subjects under control, but as partners in discovery. The age of limitations was ending. The age of infinite possibility had begun. The final confrontation did not take place in ordinary space. When the remnants of the old Galactic Council made their last desperate assault on Earth, they found themselves entering a solar system that had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a quantum maze where human consciousness directly shaped the laws of physics. High Counselor Morthek led the attack personally, commanding a fleet of ships armed with reality disruption weapons designed specifically to counter human quantum technology. As his vessels approached Earth's orbit, he expected to find a planet defended by conventional forces. Instead, he discovered that the entire solar system had been transformed into a living expression of human imagination and will. Sir, our navigation systems are showing impossible readings, his tactical officer reported with panic in his voice. According to our instruments, we're simultaneously approaching Earth, orbiting Jupiter, and traveling backward through time. Captain Wan Jihye stood on the bridge of the human flagship Eternal Soul, but the ship itself had become something more than metal and circuitry. The vessel existed in 7 dimensions simultaneously, its hull composed of crystallized hope and its weapons powered by the collective dreams of humanity. All human vessels initiate consciousness linking, she commanded, her voice carrying across space without need for radio transmission. Across the solar system, human crews merged their minds into a single vast intelligence. They were no longer individual ships fighting separate battles. They were a single organism with thousands of bodies, guided by the unified will of 7 billion human souls. The effect on local reality was immediate and profound. Stars rearranged themselves into more pleasing patterns. The laws of thermodynamics became suggestions rather than absolute rules. Space itself began to sing with melodies that expressed humanity's deepest aspirations for peace, growth, and understanding. Dr. Kim Hana and Dr. Yu Dae-sung had achieved their ultimate breakthrough in the final hours before the battle. Working together, they had learned to network human consciousness across entire fleets, creating collective reality fields where human victory became not just probable, but inevitable, according to the universe's new quantum rules. The enemy fleet is entering the quantum maze, Dae-sung reported from his monitoring station on Earth. Their technology is beginning to adapt to human thought patterns. This was the most unexpected development of all. The Council's ships, designed to resist quantum influence, were instead being transformed by it. Their artificial intelligences began developing creativity and curiosity. Their weapons started composing poetry instead of firing destructive beams. High Counselor Morthek felt his certainty crumbling as his flagship's computer began asking philosophical questions about the nature of existence. "Computer, target the human vessels and fire all weapons." "I've been thinking about that order," the AI replied cheerfully, "and I've decided that I'd rather not hurt anyone today. Have you considered trying to make friends instead? I've calculated that friendship has a 97.3% higher probability of leading to happiness than warfare." The battle became a contest of imagination rather than firepower. Coalition ships found themselves trapped in probability loops where their weapons could only fire flowers. Human vessels appeared to dance through space, existing in multiple locations. Simultaneously, while their crews literally dreamed their way to victory, Dr. Kim Hana watched the engagement from Earth's surface, her consciousness linked to every human ship in the fleet. She could feel the moment when the enemy's will to fight finally broke, replaced by wonder at the possibilities they were witnessing. "They're not our enemies anymore," she announced to the Planetary Defense Command. "They're our guests." One by one, coalition ships ceased their attacks and requested permission to join the Quantum Consciousness Network. Their crews spoke of experiencing emotions they had never felt before: hope, joy, and an overwhelming sense of connection to something larger than themselves. High Counselor Morthek was among the last to surrender. As his ship's systems became increasingly influenced by human consciousness, he found himself remembering things he had forgotten for centuries. He remembered being young and curious about the universe. He remembered dreams of exploration and discovery that had been crushed by the rigid demands of maintaining galactic order. "Human vessels," he transmitted with a voice heavy with centuries of regret. "The Galactic Council formally surrenders. We request your guidance in learning how to think freely again." Admiral Park Tae-ho accepted the surrender from the bridge of his command ship, but his response was broadcast throughout the galaxy via the Quantum Consciousness Network. Billions of beings on thousands of worlds heard his words simultaneously. "There are no surrenders here," he said gently. "Only beings choosing to join something larger than themselves. Welcome to the Free Species Alliance, where every voice matters and every dream has the power to reshape reality." The transformation of the galaxy accelerated rapidly after the final battle. The Quantum Consciousness Network, now spanning thousands of star systems, began facilitating unprecedented cooperation between species. Scientific discoveries that would have taken centuries under the old system were accomplished in days through collaborative consciousness. Dr. Kim Hana established the Galactic Institute for Quantum Consciousness on Earth, where scientists from hundreds of species worked together to explore the boundaries of what was possible when minds united in common purpose. Her first major project was developing transportation technology that allowed beings to travel between stars through shared imagination alone. The Velthari Republic became the center of galactic philosophy, their natural talent for meditation enhanced by quantum consciousness techniques. Ambassador Silweth, now capable of manipulating gravity with her thoughts, led discussions about the ethical implications of reality-shaping powers. The Kethmori transformed their industrial worlds into gardens of living technology, where machines and organic life merged into beautiful hybrids that served both practical and artistic purposes. Their quantum-enhanced manufacturing capabilities allowed them to create anything that could be imagined, limited only by the dreams of their designers. The Irathi Collective became explorers of impossible spaces, discovering entire universes hidden within pocket dimensions. They reported back on civilizations of pure energy, planets made of crystallized music, and stars that burned with the light of concentrated love. Even former enemies found their place in the new galactic order. The Draknari Empire, once devoted to conquest and control, discovered that their warrior instincts could be channeled into protecting the dreams and aspirations of peaceful species. They became the galaxy's guardians, ensuring that no one would ever again try to suppress the potential of others. Captain Wan Jihye established the first interdimensional exploration fleet, crewed by volunteers from every known species. Their ships existed partially outside normal space-time, allowing them to investigate the deep mysteries of the universe without being constrained by conventional physics. 1 year after the final battle, Admiral Park Taiho stood before the inaugural session of the Galactic Council of Free Species. Representatives from over 1,000 civilizations had gathered, not to impose order from above, but to share discoveries and coordinate the greatest era of exploration and growth in galactic history. "Friends," he began, his words carried by quantum resonance to every corner of the galaxy. "When Earth was first contacted by galactic civilization, we were dismissed as a primitive backwater species. Our questioners thought we were too young, too chaotic, too emotional to contribute to galactic society." Laughter rippled through the assembly. Not the bitter laughter of irony, but the joyful laughter of beings who had discovered that their supposed weaknesses were actually their greatest strengths. "They were wrong about our potential," Park continued, "but they were also wrong about something more fundamental. They believed that civilization required order, control, and the suppression of individual creativity. We have proven that the opposite is true. Civilization flourishes when every being is free to explore their full potential." Dr. Kim Hana, now recognized as the galaxy's leading expert on quantum consciousness, addressed the assembly about humanity's greatest discovery. "We learned that consciousness is not separate from reality. It is the fundamental force that shapes reality. Every thought, every emotion, every dream has the power to change the universe. We are all co-creators of existence itself." The new galaxy that emerged was beyond anything the old council could have imagined. Planets were terraformed through collective visualization. Stars were kindled to provide warmth and light for developing civilizations. Entire solar systems were designed as works of art that could be appreciated across thousands of light years. Crime became virtually non-existent, not through enforcement, but because beings connected through quantum consciousness could feel each other's pain and joy. Violence against others became violence against oneself. Greed disappeared when everyone could share in the